Ladies and gentlemen, the secret word tonight is water. W-A-T-E-R.
Really?
You bet your life. It's Groucho Marx in You Bet Your Life, a comedy quiz series produced and transcribed from Hollywood and brought to you by the more than 3,000 DeSoto Plymouth dealers. The dealers who now have on display the outstanding 1954 DeSoto Automatic with fully automatic power flight transmission and the all-new 1954 Plymouth, your best buy in the low-priced field. And now, here he is, the one, the only...
Oh, shucks, that's me. Well, here I am again with $1,000 for one of our couples. George, who's first on the veranda?
Mr. Walter...
Is that right, veranda?
I don't believe so, but it's nice.
Well, it can be if you have the right veranda.
Mr. Walter Mahonen and Miss Ruth Caloban. And they're waiting to meet you, Groucho. They have very interesting occupations we'd like to talk with them about. So, folks, would you come in, please, and meet Groucho Marx.
Welcome, folks, for the DeSoto Plymouth dealer. Say the secret word and you'll divide $100. It's a common word, something you see every day. Let's see, Miss Ruth Coleman?
That's right.
And Mr. Walter Mahonen, huh? Ruth, you're very attractive.
Well, thank you.
Where are you from originally?
Oh, I'm from Washington, D.C.
Would you mind revealing your approximate age? It isn't necessary, but we're nosy.
I'm
We like
24.
To know. 24? You don't look it.
Well, thanks. Do I look younger or older?
No, you look younger. I thought you were about 23 and a half. Huh? Are you married?
No, I'm not.
You're not married, huh? A girl with a cute squint like you, and you're not married? Have you tried squinting at the boys?
No, but maybe I will.
You can start on me, kid. And I'll squint right back. Who do you work for?
Well, I work for the National Bureau of Standards.
Oh, well, how are your standards?
Well, they're pretty high.
Well, if you ever lower them, will you come back and see me?
Possibly.
What do you do for the Bureau of Standards?
I'm a physicist.
A physicist? Well, prove it. Let's see you fish.
I didn't bring my fizzing apparatus.
Well, specifically, what are you doing for the Bureau of Standards?
Well, our work is pretty highly classified, so I'd rather not talk about it.
Well, the telephone book is classified. Would you... Walter Mahonen?
Yes.
You're Irish, huh?
No, Finnish.
Well, so am I. The only difference is I hate to admit it. Are you married, Walter?
Yes, I'm married to the most wonderful wife in the world.
Mm-hmm. Well, tell us something about your wife, would you?
She's handy with skillet and casserole, and she has a deft touch with condiments and agglutinating agents in victuals.
Agglutinating agents?
Yes.
Do they get 10% of your salary? What
also,
is a agglutinating agent as opposed to a regular agent?
In soups, that gives the soup a thickness, as it were.
Oh, it's a kind of a catalyst?
Something like that. She
you
also
thought I was a jerk, didn't you? When did you meet your wife, Walter?
I met her 7 years ago on New Year's...
Was she agglutinating then?
No. In Seattle, Washington.
You met her in Seattle?
On New Year's Eve. And we were married a week later in Reno, Nevada.
Well, could you give us some details of this whirlwind courtship?
Well, I met her at 8:20 on New Year's Eve, or 8 o'clock, and at 8:20 I decided I was going to ask her to marry me, which I did at 12:20 that night, which she did a week later.
You must have been in pretty good shape if you could still tell time on New Year's Eve, 4 hours after the party started.
Well, it was a strange sort of a party. We went over to listen to symphony records at a sorority sister house of hers. We listened to Walk Through a Paradise Garden by Delius. And
you were listening to a Paradise Garden by Delius on New Year's Eve?
That was the name of the symphony.
Uh-huh. How long did this piece take, this Delius piece?
They served coffee at intervals, in which...
This is a whole evening of Delius?
A whole evening of Delius, punctuated by coffee with sugar and cream. and talk, as it were.
Did this girl know much about you, Walter? I mean, prior to this this orgy that you threw there on New Year's Eve?
Yes.
I'm surprised the joint wasn't raided.
Well, I was considered
A rough affair, huh?
I was considered not a very good risk in marriage. I was a sort of a tramp, as it were, a tramp musician, and not very stable in those days.
Uh-huh.
About jobs, I mean.
Did you have a job?
At the time, yes, I was a beachcomber.
Well, you couldn't get a more substantial job than that. A fortune in beachcombing, huh? Old beer bottles, dead seagulls. Are you serious? Was this really your
Yes, I was
occupation?
working for the Headleys, who have a beachcombing place on at White's Point in San Pedro, and I worked for them. And
You combed the beach?
Up and down the beach from White's Point up to Portuguese Bend.
Uh-huh. Well, what kind of junk? What kind of stuff do you pick up there?
Anything, flotsam and jetsam that could be merchandised.
Well, I picked up some flotsam and jetsam on the beach too. But... Are you doing any beachcombing these days?
No, I have a respectable job as a welder in a shipyard. But I'm doing some abstract sculpture in steel.
Abstract sculpturing in steel?
Yeah.
What is abstract steel sculpturing?
Well, abstract sculpture, as I understand it, is the addition of formal meaning to a mass that has no formal meaning by the use of the human will, and I happen to choose a contemporary medium, which is steel.
Well, you've gone all your life through a kind of a mysterious haze, haven't you, Walter?
Yeah, it's been fun.
Well, I imagine you've had a lot of fun. You seem like the kind of fellow that gets a kind of an inside chuckle out of everything he does.
Indeed,
huh?
I do.
You and John Gunther. Now, have you sold any of your work?
No, the main problem is getting into the shows. The juries seem to pick on the old and worn and haggard classics.
Why do you go in for these unusual, unlucrative occupations?
Because I like to, and I think every man should do what he likes to do.
Well, I admire you, Walter. You have a fine, homely philosophy. It's that kind of thinking that keeps the country jails full of customers. Well, it's certainly been abstract talking to you, Walter. And that goes for you, too, kid, huh?
Thank you.
I never thought when you first came out here and initially squinted at me that you were going to be quite so obscure. Well, now it's time to play You Bet Your Life. You know, all you have to do is run your $20 into more than our other couples for a crack at the big question later. You selected cities with the same name. There are a number of important cities with the same name. Some are here in the United States and some abroad. Let's see if you can identify them. Here's your first question. Now, how much will you bet?
Let's bet all of it first.
All of it.
All of it? Birmingham is one of England's largest cities and also is one of our major industrial cities. In what state is our Birmingham?
Birmingham, Alabama.
That's right, yes. That's true.
You're on your way. You have $40.
You have $40. Now, how much of this sum will you bet on your second question?
Shall we bet all of it again? Yeah. I think we have to.
Okay. York, England is about 200 miles from London. Our city of York is 27 miles from Harrisburg. In what state is York?
Pennsylvania.
That's right.
You now have $80.
Now, I have $80. How much are you going to bet?
Okay, we'll bet the works.
Okay. The city of Syracuse in Sicily has declined from former days of glory. This is kind of a one-act play here. But our Syracuse is still on the way up with over 200,000 people. In what state is it located?
New York.
New York is right. Oh, another one?
You now have $160.
$160 is your last chance to beat the other couples. How much are you going to bet?
Who cares?
Let's bet all of it again.
All of it. Cambridge is a famous university city in England. In what state is our Cambridge? It has over 100,000 people.
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, that's right.
And you wind up with $320.
Thanks and good luck from the DeSoto Plymouth dealers.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's why the great new 1954 DeSoto deserves the name Automatic. Why it's the only car on the American road that fully deserves that name. First of all, whether you're driving along the open road or parking in a tight spot, DeSoto full-time power steering does the work of steering and parking for you. And when you have to stop, DeSoto full power brakes do over half the work of braking for you. Then, too, DeSoto electric windshield wipers maintain constant speed windshield wiping. And if you desire, the 1954 DeSoto will raise and lower your windows, air condition itself, and do a score of other things for you automatically. But the biggest news of all this year is DeSoto PowerFlight fully automatic transmission, the newest and finest automatic transmission available. Just turn the key and you're ready to drive. Step on the gas pedal and you're away in a swelling surge of smooth power, never draggy or jerky. Yes, friends, the 1954 DeSoto Automatic is a car designed and built to carry out your sudden orders quickly, quietly, safely at all speeds. Visit your neighborhood DeSoto Plymouth dealer soon. See the new DeSoto. And remember, DeSoto puts you ahead automatically.
Okay, George, who's next?
We have a teenager, Groucho, Miss Carol Sonia Tegner. Her partner is a special guest whom we invited because of his interesting occupation. He's Mr. Adam E. Jansen. So, folks, would you come in, please, and meet Groucho Marx.
Mr. Adam Jansen and Miss Carol Sonia Tegner. Carol, since you're prettier than Mr. Jansen, this is without looking at Mr. Jansen, I'll start with you. How old are you?
16.
16. Do you go to school, Carol?
Yes, I do. I go to Hollywood High School, and I'll graduate this January.
Well, that's pretty early to be graduating from high school, 16, isn't it? You must be a real smart girl, in addition to being attractive.
Thank you.
Mr. Jansen, let's get on with you. You've been standing here with a vacant look in your eye. You're not Larry Jansen, the pitcher for DeRocher, are you?
No.
Where are you from, Mr. Jansen?
I was born in Minnesota.
Oh, you're not the Jansen from Jansen's Hofbrau in New York, huh?
I don't think so.
You're not the Jansen from I'm Jansen with tears in my eyes? Well, how about your first name? Is that Jansen, too?
No, my first name is Adam.
Adam, how do you account for that?
Well, I was christened Adam, but my friends call me Elmer.
They call you Elmer. You haven't got many friends. Don't you prefer Adam to Elmer?
I like Elmer.
That would sound pretty silly with Elmer and Eve. Huh? What sort of work do you do, Adam? Are you in the rib business?
No, I'm the chief of police of San Diego.
You're what?
I'm the chief of police of San Diego.
Why, Elmer, you lovable, forgiving old rascal. You are forgiving, aren't you?
Oh, sure.
San Diego, a lovely city. The flower of the South, San Diego. Wonderful town there. How long has crime been running wild in San Diego? Or to put it another way, how long have you been police chief?
About 6 years.
Tell me, Chiefy, what are your duties as head of the police?
Well, that would be hard to answer in a few minutes.
Well, don't have to worry about an answer right now. Just be sure you have the right answers for the grand jury. Let's pick an average day, Elmer. How do you start out?
Well, when I arrive at the station in the morning, I'd first of all attempt to find out what has happened since I left the day before.
You mean you read the newspapers to see if you've been indicted? What do you mean? Don't you know what's happened?
Well, most of the time, but I like to find who is in jail and what crimes have been committed and how many traffic accidents have happened. And
then you go home and go to sleep again?
No.
Do you have any women policemen down there?
Well, we have some women who are not police women, but they're police matrons, about a dozen of them.
Mm-hmm. How they look?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Do these women take orders from you?
They do.
Mm-hmm. Do they obey these orders?
They sure do.
Elmer, you're not the chief, you're the super chief. Well, it's time to stop talking and get down to money matters, Chief. And Chief Jansen, I was only kidding you. You know that, don't you? Don't pay any attention to me. Especially if I come to San Diego. Now then, let's play You Bet Your Life, huh? All you do is run your $20, and no more than our other couples, you'll get a crack at the big bundle later.
In the race for the $1,000, the first couple won $320, and the secret word is water.
Here we go. Let's see how high I can build you $20. You selected our feathered friends. Fine thing for a cop. Here's your first question. How much will you bet? You have $20.
All of it.
What do you call the comical-looking birds that inhabit the Antarctic regions? They can swim but can't fly.
Penguins.
Penguins is right.
You have $40.
How much of your $40 are you going to risk this time?
All of it.
What do you call the seabird that is regarded with superstition by some sailors? The rhyme of the ancient mariner told about one of these birds.
The albatross.
Albatross is right, eh?
You now have $80.
You have $80. How much you going to try?
It works.
Work, she said.
What do you call the aquatic birds that live near the seashore? They have a large bill with a pouch underneath.
Pelicans.
That's right. His bill holds more than his pelican.
You now have $160.
Here's your last chance to be the other couples. How much of the 160 are you going to go for?
It works.
What do you call the long-necked pink water birds that are found in warm climates? Talk it over now.
Flamingos.
That is right, flamingos.
You wind up with $320.
Thanks and good luck to the DeSoto Plymouth dealers. George, who's next?
We have a girl who works in a bank, Groucho. She's Miss Suzanne Glenn, and her partner is Mr. Peter DiPaolo. So, folks, would you please come in and meet Groucho Marx?
Well, welcome for the DeSoto Plymouth dealers. Say the secret word and divide $100. It's a common word, something you always have with you. Miss Susan Glenn and Mr. Peter DiPaolo, eh? Is that right?
Right, Groucho.
Say, Peter DiPaolo, that's a very famous name. Aren't you the first man ever to go over Niagara Falls in a pickle barrel?
No, Groucho, I drove racing cars.
Oh, that's right. You were a great champion. You were the hero of every kid in our block. I couldn't read the newspaper accounts, but the other kids used to tell me about you. I was only 48 at the time. I'll get back to you, champ, in a minute. Just stand there a while and idle your motor. Suzanne, I'd like to get better acquainted with you. Where are you from?
Well, I was born in Hollywood, California, Groucho.
Oh. How old are you?
23.
23. And where do you work?
Bank of America, South Pasadena.
They have a bank out there?
Yes, they do.
Do you observe bankers' hours at this bank?
Yes, we do. They're from 8 in the morning until 5 at night.
Does everybody go home at 5?
Yes, they do.
Are you sure? That's all I want to know. Tomorrow night I may make a sizable withdrawal around 10 at night. Mr. DiPaolo, I know you were a champion race driver. What were some of the titles that you achieved during your career?
Well, I'd say the most standing was winning the famous Indianapolis 500-mile race, and then becoming the National AA champion in 25 and 1927.
And what was your average time in the Indianapolis race?
In 1925, I averaged 101 mile per hour.
And what do they average now?
128.
There's a lot of money in racing in those days, huh?
Yes, there was. In 25, I was lucky enough to win $168,000. And I thought it was terrible that I had to pay some $5,200 tax. Now, today, I'd keep the $5,200 and send the rest to Washington. A little different.
How'd you get started in the racing business? Was it always your ambition to be a race driver?
No, I wanted to go to college. When I was a young kid, at the time I had the idea of going to college, my father had a sign over the kitchen door written in Italian, and it read, "Chi non lavora non mangi."
What does that mean? Don't drop your keys in the wash basin?
It means who no work and no eat. And like all Latins, I love to eat, so I went to work.
Well, my father was like that, only he was more of a plain-spoken man. He just dumped me out of bed and hollered, "Go find a job, you bum." Didn't your folks object when you started to take up automobile racing as a career?
Well, they did, but as I progressed and became successful,
they were very happy. As a matter of fact, after each race, I'd go home, and dear mother would have her one request, that I'd go to Newark à la Marquette. We'd go down to the public market. She wanted to show me off. We go along arm in arm, and she'd say, "Hello, Mrs. Pepleroy. It's a pity, champion for the race. You come from California."
Well, your folks sound like wonderful people, Pete. Not only that, but you sound just like my brother Chico, huh?
Well, they were wonderful people.
That's 2 strikes against you in the quiz, you realize. Tell us some more about your family, Pete.
Well, there are many things that I could relate, Groucho, but I remember very distinctly during World War I, Brother Johnny and I were in the Air Corps. Brother Johnny was a flyer, and I was an airplane mechanic. And on this one visit at home during our leave, Johnny went on telling about flying, which got Mother all excited, naturally, and like all people in those days, they thought if anybody fly an airplane, they'd get killed, for sure. So dear old Mother, as Johnny, myself were leaving home, she embraced Johnny with that love and affection which only a mother can express.
Yeah.
And in her soft Latin voice, she says, "Johnny boy, when you fly low and slow." And then I remember, too, months later, after that, poor Johnny had quite a misfortune. He'd wrecked down in the Everglades in Florida, and he came home with his arm bandaged up and his nose mashed over. And he says, "Mama, I fly too low, I hit a house." But we used to have many wonderful visits at home. Wonderful people.
How do you feel about driving on Wilshire Boulevard, don't you?
Scared to death.
So, Pete, you're an expert on automobiles. What do you think of today's cars?
Well, I think people are getting more value for their money than ever before in the history of automobiles.
You hear that? Well, are you referring to any particular car?
Well, tonight it's a DeSoto.
It's a nice... I suppose the next week, if you were on it for a locomobile, you say it's about a locomobile, huh?
I'm glad you mentioned locomobile. She's a no more. She's a die.
She's a no more. That is why I mentioned a locomobile. Well, enough of this chatter. Let's get on with the important business. You know what that is. You're going to play You Bet Your Life for a chance to win some money. You run your $20 no more than the other couples, and you'll get a chance at the big money.
In the race for the $1,000, the first and second couples are tied with $320 each.
Well, here we go. Let's see how high I can bid you $20. You selected personalities of the 20s as your category. Here's your first question. How much will you bet?
How much can we bet?
You have $20.
20, bet it.
All the way.
20.
Oh, sure.
During the early 20s, the famous author of the Sherlock Holmes stories toured the United States. What was his name?
Was it Holmes? Oliver Wendell Holmes?
Sherlock Holmes. Those were the
Sherlock
stories.
Holmes.
I want you to tell me the name of the author who toured the United States. Oh, that's a shame. You got cleaned out in the first question. Well, the answer is Sir Conan Doyle. Very famous
Wouldn't have
author.
guessed it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I give you one question anyhow, so you split $25. We don't like anybody to leave here flat broke.
Yeah.
Why did you pick that category?
Well, we thought we had it in the bag, but...
Now, what color do you associate with turnip greens?
Green.
Green is absolutely right. Well, thanks and good luck to the soda blended deal.
And that means that the San Diego chief of police and his partner and the beachcomber and his partner, with both of them with $320 in just 1 minute, get the chance at the DeSoto Plymouth $1,000 question.
Hello there. This is Arlene Francis here to tell you about something new and wonderful. The new 1954 DeSoto Automatic. This year, the stunning new DeSoto features Power Flight transmission, the world's newest and best fully automatic transmission. PowerFlight automatically adjusts to fit your driving needs, and instantly you're driving at the exact speed you choose. With the magnificent instant response of PowerFlight transmission, the tremendous power of the DeSoto Fire Dome engine, now 170 horsepower, and the wonderful assurance of DeSoto full power steering and DeSoto power brakes, all driving becomes pleasure driving. And when it comes to magnificent new styling, here too the dramatic 1954 DeSoto will set the pace for years to come. Even at rest, the new 1954 DeSoto has an air of impressive power and ability to eat up the miles. Tomorrow, go to your DeSoto Plymouth dealers. Step inside this new 1954 DeSoto Automatic. Go for a thrilling ride in one. Once you've driven this new DeSoto, I think you'll agree, the 1954 DeSoto puts you ahead automatically.
Well, Groucho, here are the two couples tied for the chance at the big question. Each couple will decide on a single answer between them and write it down on one of the cards we've given them. And if both couples get it right, they'll split the money between them. Okay?
All right, please now help in the audience now. A New Englander named Clarence E. Mulford, M-U-L-F-O-R-D, has written many successful stories about the West. For $1,000, I want you to tell me the name of the most famous character created by Clarence E. Mulford. Write it down.
This couple's.
No, I'm sorry. This couple over here, it's Hopalong Cassidy.
Oh,
You said it right. Yes.
Well, the beachcomber and the girl from the National Bureau of Standards, they split $1,000 between them, and $320.
Right, $320.
That makes $1,320. Well, congratulations. What are you going to do with all that money?
I'm going to be a beachcomber starting tomorrow.
Well, I admire you. You have a wonderful solution for life. And what are you going to do with yours?
I think maybe I'll ask my parents if they'd like to come out and visit me in California.
Well, that's you couldn't have spend the money in a nicer way. Huh? Well, congratulations from the more than 3,000 DeSoto Plymouth dealers from coast to coast. You bet your life.
Be sure to tune in again next Wednesday night at the same time for the Groucho Marx Show, when the big question will be worth $1,000. And don't forget Groucho's television show, also brought to you by the DeSoto Plymouth Dealers of America. Remember that the dealers who sell the outstanding 1954 DeSoto Automatic with fully automatic PowerFlight transmission also have on display the remarkable new Plymouth, engineered and built to be your best buy in the low-priced field. DeSoto, Plymouth, two great new cars, both products of the Chrysler Corporation.
And when you drive in, tell them Groucho sent you. Good night, folks, and remember, just be sure to see the DeSoto Automatic.
Folks, here's a reminder from the National Safety Council. Good brakes stop many accidents before they get started. You Bet Your Life, transcribed from Hollywood, is produced by John Goodell, directed by Robert Dwan and Bernie Smith, music by Jerry Fielding. This is George Fenneman signing off for the more than 3,000 DeSoto Plymouth dealers from coast to coast. You Bet Your Life is heard by our armed forces throughout the world. Ladies and gentlemen, the secret word tonight is FACE. F-A-C-E.
Really?
You Bet Your Life. Groucho Marx in You Bet Your Life, the comedy quiz series produced and transcribed from Hollywood and brought to you by the more than 3,000 DeSoto Plymouth dealers. The dealers who now have on display the outstanding 1954 DeSoto Automatic with fully automatic power flight transmission and the all-new 1954 Plymouth, your best buy in the low-priced field. And now, here he is, the one, the only...
One of nature's noblemen. Oh, that's me. Well, here I am again with $1,000 for one of our couples.
Well, Groucho, we went looking in our audience tonight for grandparents.
You
and,
did, huh?
Yes,
Well,
and as a result...
You're really getting old.
Well, we found one. He's Mr. Earl Pollock, and we'd like him to meet you, Groucho. His partner is Helen Wilde. So, folks, would you come in, please, and meet Groucho Marx.
Welcome for the DeSoto Plymouth dealers. Say the secret word and you'll divide $100. It's a common word, something you always have with you. Mr. Earl Pollock and Helen Wilde. Helen, you're a very attractive girl. Where are you from originally?
Monroe, Louisiana.
Monroe, Louisiana?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, where is that? Is that in the Bayou country?
Yes. In fact, I lived right across the street from one of the bayous.
Is that so? Did anybody buy you anything while you were down there?
Not hardly.
Could you tell us something about this country? For example, what did you do down there when you were a girl?
When I was a little girl, it was real bad days then, and I used to work in the berry fields and help my family.
What do you mean by
picking
bad
strawberries? And, well, you know, depression.
Times were tough, huh?
That's right. And I used to pick berries, strawberries, and blackberries, and different things.
Now, how old are you now, Helen? You certainly don't look much over 20.
I'm 34.
34?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Well, we don't look it, but we're about the same age. Would you like to get together later and discuss our ages?
No, I don't believe I would. I'm married. My husband wouldn't like it.
What sort of work does your husband do?
He's a meat cutter.
Oh, he's not going to chase me with a cleaver. Now then, let's see. You're Mr. Earl Pollock?
Yes, sir.
Is that the way you pronounce it, Pollock?
Yes, sir.
You mind if I call you Earl?
It's your pleasure, sir.
Well, I've had greater pleasures than that. I wouldn't sneer at it. How old are you, Earl?
I will be 82 years old next month.
Really? Well, how long have you been retired?
Where did you get the idea I was retired?
Well, you mean you're still active? Is it because of that beautiful
I
girl
am
standing
still
next to
active
you?
in the civil engineering profession, yes, sir.
Is that you're a civil engineer?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's quite an achievement to last that long these days.
Thank you.
The way things are. Did you do any berry picking when you were a lad?
No, that was out of my line.
Fenneman says you're a grandfather, huh?
Twice. 2 times.
2 times, huh? How long have you been married?
Oh, somewhere in the neighborhood of 52 years.
Really, you don't look it, huh? I'd say you weren't married a day over 40 years, huh? Helen, now about your marriage to this butcher, do you have any little tots running around stealing meat out of butcher shops, huh?
I have a 6-month-old granddaughter.
A granddaughter?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how old are you again?
34.
See, there's something in berry picking at that, I guess. Well, aren't you ashamed of yourself? You and Helen are both grandparents, but it took you 82 years to do what she did in 34. Well, I'm certainly confused talking to you two. Earl makes me feel young again, and Helen makes me feel real old again. However, I presume you're both interested in making some money. So let's play You Bet Your Life. All you got to do is run your $20 no more than the other couples, and you get a chance at the big money. Well, here we go. Let's see how high I can bid you $20. You selected Western songs as your category. Here's your first question. How much will you bet?
We'll bet all of it.
The whole 20. Well, give me the title of this Western song. Play, Jerry.
Wagon wheels. Wagon wheels.
Wagon Wheels is right.
And you're on your way with $40.
We'll
How
bet
much?
it all again.
$40 you're going to bet? Okay. What is the name of this song? Jerry?
Heading for the last roundup.
Heading for the last roundup.
You now have $80.
We'll bet all of it.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Fielding.
Red River Valley.
Red River Valley is right.
You've now climbed to $160.
We'll bet it all.
You're going to bet the 160.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right. Play this one, Jerry. Shame to take the money, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's a
Home
shame
on
to
the
take
range.
the money. It's home on the range is right.
And you wind up with $320.
Well, thanks and good luck from the DeSoto Plymouth dealers. Fine night.
Well, our studio audience selected a girl from the telephone company, Groucho, Miss Dolores Deal, and her partner is a special guest, Mayor Durward Loomis. So, folks, would you come in, please, and meet Groucho Marx.
Well, the mayor, eh? Well, welcome, Your Highness, with the DeSoto Plymouth dealers. Say the secret word and divide $100. It's a common word, something you always have with you. Mayor Edward Loomis, eh? Shows you how I keep up with current events. I thought Eisenhower was mayor.
It's Durward Loomis, Groucho.
It's what?
Durward Loomis.
Durward, oh. Are you really an honest-to-goodness mayor?
That's right, I am, Groucho.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here, Your Majesty.
Thank you, sir.
What are you mayor of?
The city of San Fernando, Groucho.
Well, congratulations. That's a wonderful honor. It's magnificent.
Thank you.
Where is San Fernando? Is that in the United States?
San Fernando is in the fastest growing valley in the world, Groucho, the great
Is that
San
so?
Fernando Valley.
Is that near Rudy? I guess not. Mayor, I'll return to you in a moment. We'll start the investigation as soon as I talk to your partner here. You're Dolores Deal?
That's right.
Is that the way you pronounce it, Deal?
That's right, uh-huh.
In other words, you're Miss Deal, is that right?
Yes, I am.
And you're from the phone company?
Yes?
Well, you have a very pretty prefix. What is your hometown, Dolores?
Well, I like to say I'm from Junction City, Kansas.
Well, I don't mind if you do, but where are you from?
From Salina, Kansas.
How old are you? That is, if you don't mind talking. Huh?
25.
Well, I'll accept that. However, since you're from the phone company, you probably gave me the wrong number just from habit. What branch of the phone company do you work for?
In the Beverly Hills office.
Beverly Hills?
Mhm.
Really? I live in Beverly Hills.
I know.
Oh, you eavesdropper here. You ever talk to me when I ask for the operator?
No, I'm not an operator. I work as a service representative.
Oh. Well, you may not be an operator, but I am, Dolores. A pretty feeble one, too. Mayor Loomis, let's get back to you. Everything quiet on the political scene?
Just at the moment, Groucho, yes.
Well, I was just checking. I thought maybe you had a plane ticket to Mexico City in your pocket.
Not yet.
Are you married, Mayor?
Yes, I am, Groucho.
How'd you meet your wife? Were you out buying votes and you happened to run into her?
Not this wife, no. I worked in the bank.
Previous wife?
No, this is my only wife,
What are you
Groucho.
getting for votes these days?
Well, I don't know what the current quotation is, but I understand it's getting higher.
I remember you could buy a vote for $1.50. Now you can just about get a pumpernickel for that. Did you ever have any pumpernickel voting for you?
I don't recall it. They may have been on the rolls.
Would you like to switch seats with me?
There you go, Groucho.
It seems to me I heard San Fernando was the fastest growing community in the world. Is this true, Mayor?
San Fernando Valley is the
valley.
fastest growing area in the world. San Fernando can't grow anymore. We've reached the limit of our population.
Well, have you discussed this with the members of the population?
I think it's true.
Well, why do you say this? Mayor?
The geographical limitations of the area. We are 2 square miles, and Los Angeles completely surrounds us.
How long have you been mayor, Your Honor?
2 years, Mr. Marks.
2 years, huh? You're just a beginner in politics, huh? What are your plans for the future? Have you got your eye on the governor's chair, or do you plan to head right for the Supreme Court?
Well, Groucho, recently we've opened a new bank in Pacoima. I'm the president of the new bank, and we offer downtown banking services to the Pacoima area.
You've only been mayor 2 years, and already you're opening your own bank? Mayor, you may be a tyro politically, but I must say you've got real talent. Well, I'm sure neither of you is averse to winning a lot of money, so let's get down to business. Huh?
In the race for the $1,000, the first couple won $320, and the secret word is face.
Well, here we go. Let's see how high I can bid you $20. You selected stars of movies. I'll give you the title of these 3 pictures, and you tell me the name of the male star who appeared in all 3 of them. Now, here's your first question. How much of the 20 are you going to try?
All of it, huh?
Bet the lot.
Right.
All right, who starred in The Road, The Glory Brigade, and Samson and Delilah?
Victor Mature.
Right.
You now have $40.
Now you have $40. How much are you going to try this time?
All of it, huh?
A lot.
Right.
Who starred in Island in the Sky, The Quiet Man, and Sands of Iwo Jima?
John Wayne.
John Wayne is right.
You now have $80.
All of it, huh?
Shooting the Woods.
A lot.
Who
Right.
starred in Ride Vaquero, Quo Vadis, and Ivanhoe?
Robert Taylor.
Robert Taylor is correct.
You now have $160.
Oh, God.
Are you going to try the whole thing?
Yes.
Take it up with the...
I think we should.
All right.
Okay. Who starred in Cari, The Beggar's Opera, and Hamlet?
Laurence Olivier.
Laurence Olivier is right.
And you wind up with $320.
Oh, thank
Well,
you
thanks
very
and good
much.
luck from the DeSoto Plymouth dealers.
Thank you, Groucho.
Thank you.
All right, George, who's next?
Well, Groucho, we have a department store buyer and a man from a circus for you. Mr. Norman Carroll and Mrs. Helen Kreiter. Would you please come in and meet Groucho Marx?
Welcome, kids, to You Bet Your Life. Say the secret word and divide $100. It's a common word, something you see every day. Miss Helen Kreiter and Mr. Norman Carroll. Helen, is that Miss or Mrs.?
That's Mrs. Groucho.
Oh. Okay, I was just checking. I'm just wasting any time. Find out early. That's my mind. Now then, you're Norman Carroll?
That's right.
Or is it Carroll Norman?
No, Norman Carroll, sir.
Where are you from, Norman?
I'm from Vincennes, Indiana. I was born about 3 blocks away from the Wabash River.
Is that so? On the banks of the Wabash, huh? Do you remember much about Vincennes?
Well, I was born in a flood, and 3 days later I got the measles.
Certainly got a good memory. You can remember being born during a flood. You weren't on Noah's Ark, were you?
No. My folks told me about it. Was a
About
measles.
Noah's Ark?
No, the measles epidemic.
Why did you leave Vincennes?
Well, I wanted to join the circus.
Did you still have the spots on your face at the time?
No, I got over that. All right, I guess.
Why did you want to join the circus? Was it falling apart?
No, I wanted to join.
That's an old joke about the Siamese twins or something.
No, I joined.
No, somebody said, "Shall we join the ladies?" And he says, "Why? Are they coming apart?" This was the Siamese twins. I think it's an old George Kaufman joke. What did you do with the circus?
Well, I joined the circus as a clown.
Well, what made you think that you'd make a good clown? Were you always funny at home?
Well, around town, they thought I was funny. And then I...
Did you ever hear the old story of the clown? I think it was Marceline, the French clown. He was very despondent and always wanted to kill himself. When he finally went to a doctor, and the doctor says, "What's the matter?" He says, "Well, I have suicidal impulses." He says, "I'm always sad and dejected." He says, "Well, what you need is a good laugh. Why don't you go to the circus tonight and see Marceline the clown?" And he says, "I'm Marceline the clown."
That's something like...
It's not a very funny story, but it has a good moral.
Well, that's kind of like I joined the circus as a clown, and they contract
As a
said...
matter of fact, it's a very dull story, but most stories that have a good moral like that, and you have to submit to a story like that. Have you heard that story before?
Oh, but I was going to tell you about the contract I had with the circus.
You don't like the story I just told.
Do you want to hear about the contract? This
would you listen to this story again if I listen to yours?
Well, anyway, the contract that I had said...
You don't care if I ignore your story the same as you ignored mine, huh? I like to get an occasional laugh up here, too. It isn't all beer and Skittles just sitting here.
What I was going to say at the beginning,
You're a persistent fellow, I must say. You've certainly got a one-joke mind, and you're certainly bound on using it. All right, out with it. But I'll warn you, I'm not going to listen to it. I'll pretend I'm listening to it.
Well, I started to tell you a little while ago.
It was about 10 minutes ago.
The contract said, clown, $15 a week, and you make yourself generally useful.
This was in Vincennes?
This is... Where do you mean?
I don't know where I mean. You're telling the story. I'll be willing to listen to this story in any town you name. It seems to me, in fairness to me, that I'm entitled to some identity about this town.
But I didn't join I left Vincennes with the...
I know, it's when you had the measles. Okay, on with the story.
Well, anyway, I was with the circus, and I got $15 a week as a clown, and the lady that owned the circus, she finally came to me and she said, you're the unfunniest clown we've ever had. And then she gave me a job selling tickets. I only lasted 2 weeks. That's what I was trying to tell you all the time.
Oh. Well, I'm sorry I didn't keep on interrupting you. How were you as a ticket seller? Were you very successful?
Well, I'd say just fair.
You weren't very good at anything, were you? It's kind of sad, the whole thing, isn't it? Would you like to hear the story again about Marceline, the clown who wanted to kill himself?
Unless you would. I would.
Well, I know I don't want to hear it again. What's... Helen, what sort of work do you do? What sort of work do you do, Helen?
I'm a department store buyer, Groucho.
Oh, that sounds like a pretty soft job. How many department stores have you bought recently?
None.
None? You
No.
don't?
No, I don't buy
What department stores the store are you with?
Well,
I'm a little hysterical from this measles story.
I prefer not to mention the name. The largest in the West, however.
Well, is it the May Company?
No.
Is it Saks?
No.
The Army Navy store?
No.
Well, every store in town got a plug but yours. That ought to get you a big raise when you get back there. Well, now, Norman, let's get back. What sort of work do you do now?
Well, I'm with the greatest show on earth now.
Oh, you with Orbax? See, Helen, there's nothing modest about him. You might as well tell us what circus it is, Norman. Get it over with.
Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Circus, the greatest show on earth.
See how shy he is? What do you do for the circus, Norman?
Well, I'm the ringmaster, and I do a little barking.
Like, how much is that dog in the window? Well, tell us about your circus. What is it like this year?
Well, I think it's the best show we've had in the 83-year history of this famous circus. We got a little fella called Mr. Miston Jr. Mr. North discovered him over in Belgium. His father was a professor of note, and they brought him here. And
Mr. North's father was a professor in Belgium?
This is the little fella, Mr. Miston Jr., that I'm talking about. He works in the center ring.
Oh, and where's Mr. North working? In the North Ring?
He's the one that goes to Europe and scouts.
He doesn't have to watch the circus at all, huh?
Well, he sees it in New York when we play Madison Square Garden. He's there.
And then he goes to Belgium and stays there? And...
No, they have... I get mixed up talking to you. I do what I don't know. Mr. Marks,
I can't understand how anybody could get mixed up talking to me. I never get mixed up talking to me.
Mr. Marks, I sold a lot of tickets, but honestly, I think it'd be the toughest job I ever had in my life to try to sell you a ticket. I wouldn't know what I'd be selling.
Norman, you have no idea how tough it would be to sell me a ticket. Particularly since I expect 4 seats for nothing. Well, it's been certainly fun talking to you two, but now it's time to play You Bet Your Life for a chance at the big money. All you have to do is run your $20 no more than our other couples, and you get a chance at the big question later.
In the race for the $1,000, the first and second couples are tied with $320 each.
You selected little or big as your category. All of these well-known places, persons, and things begin with the descriptive words little or big. Understand that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, now let's see how many you can identify. Here's your first question. You have $20. Now, what will you try? Hey, you've got to talk up. They want to hear
all of it.
All of it?
Yeah.
Oh,
do you agree on this?
Okay, you've talked me into it.
Only if you agree.
I don't want to argue. I just want to win some money.
Well, write it first.
All right.
All right. What was the nickname for Napoleon? It began with one of the descriptive adjectives, little or big.
I think it was Little Colonel.
Little Caesar?
Little...
For Napoleon.
Yeah.
Little Caesar.
No, Little Colonel, I think.
Wrong? Oh.
Little Corporal.
Little Corporal.
Oh. He was flirting with it. Oh, that's a shame. You lost all your money.
Sure did.
That's not good. I'll give you one question, get this right, and you'll bring your money up to $25, which you can split. How many rings in a 3-ring circus?
You want to talk it over? I think it's 3.
Well, I'm sorry you didn't win more.
That's all right.
Thanks and good luck.
This is worth more than the money. I'd rather meet you than win money.
It was wonderful meeting you. Isn't he wonderful, this guy? I was crazy about him. I wish he was my next contestant.
Well, our last couple went broke, and that means that our first 2 couples who are tied for the chance at the big question get that chance in just 1 minute for the DeSoto Plymouth $1,000 question. Groucho?
Splendid.
When you drive the 1954 DeSoto Automatic with Power Flight fully automatic transmission, you're driving the most truly remarkable car on the road today. The main reason is simple. DeSoto Power Flight. There's no clutch to bother with. No shifting gears necessary. All you do is turn the key and you're ready to drive. Lightly step on the accelerator and go from a standing start to high-speed cruising in one silk-smooth surge of power. With DeSoto Power Flight fully automatic transmission, it's a breeze all the way. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, the brand new 1954 DeSoto Automatic with Power Flight automatic transmission is available in 2 great series, the superbly responsive PowerMaster 6 and the mighty Fire Dome V8, now delivering a full 170 horsepower. See these famous DeSotos at your DeSoto Plymouth dealers soon. You'll be glad you did, because DeSoto puts you ahead automatically. Well, here comes our first 2 couples who are tied for the chance at the big question, Groucho. Each couple will decide on a single answer and write it down on one of these cards that we've given them. If both couples get it right, we'll split the money between them.
Okay, here we go. Joseph Broz, and I'll spell it for you. His first name is Josip, and his second name is capital Broz. That's his real name. facts, an important figure in current history. For $1,000, tell me, who is Joseph Broz? Write something down. No, I'm sorry. The lady said George Washington. It happens to be Marshall Tito.
Oh, no.
And means that the mayor and the girl from the phone company split $1,000. How much did they win?
$1,000 in the quiz and $320.
That means the mayor won $500 and $160 for his share. That's $620. You can buy for that, let's see, 350 votes, I would say, in San Fernando.
Mister, I'll move to San Fernando and vote for you 1,000 times. That's
well, now, what are you going to do with all that money?
I'm going to buy a Groucho special.
Oh, fine. And you, Mayor?
I think I'll start an account in my new bank, Groucho.
Well, at least you'll have some money in it, even if it's only ours. Well, congratulations from the more than 3,000 DeSoto Plymouth dealers from coast to coast. You bet your life.
Thank you.
Be sure to tune in again next Wednesday night at the same time for the Groucho Marx Show, when the big question will be worth $1,000. And don't forget Groucho's television show, also brought to you by the DeSoto Plymouth Dealers of America. And remember that the dealers who sell the outstanding 1954 DeSoto Automatic with fully automatic power flight transmission also have on display the remarkable new Plymouth, engineered and built to be your best buy in the low-priced field. DeSoto, Plymouth. Two great new cars. Both products of the Chrysler Corporation.
And when you drive in, tell them Groucho sent you. Good night, folks. And remember, just be sure to see the DeSoto Automatic.
Folks, here's a reminder from the National Safety Council. You can't control the weather, but you can control your speed. You Bet Your Life, transcribed from Hollywood, is produced by John Goodell. Directed by Robert Dwan and Bernie Smith. Music by Jerry Fielding. This is George Fenneman signing off for the more than 3,000 DeSoto Plymouth dealers from coast to coast. You Bet Your Life is heard by our armed forces throughout the world. Ladies and gentlemen, the secret word tonight is window. W-I-N-D-O-W.
Really?
You bet your life. It's Groucho Marx in You Bet Your Life, a comedy quiz series produced and transcribed from Hollywood. And brought to you by the more than 3,000 DeSoto Plymouth dealers. The dealers who now have on display the outstanding 1954 DeSoto Automatic with fully automatic power flight transmission. And the all-new 1954 Plymouth, your best buy in the low-priced field. And now, here he is, the one, the only...
Well, here I am again with $1,000 for one of our couples. George, who's first?
Groucho, we have a married couple from our audience, Mr. and Mrs. Marty J. Backjean. So, folks, would you please come in and meet Groucho Marx?
Welcome, welcome for the DeSoto Plymouth dealers. Say the secret word and take home an extra $100. It's a common word, something you find around the house. Mr. and Mrs. Marty J. Backjean, huh? Backjean. What kind of a name is Backjean?
Well, it's J-I-A-N, Backjean, but we changed it to J-E-A-N, Backjean.
In other words, you changed your genes, huh? Not in midstream, I hope. Mrs. Backjean, what is your first name?
Helen.
Helen. Well, that's a nice name. You could be from Troy. What is your hometown?
I'm from Long Island, Queens County, New York.
Oh. Well, that's a nice place there. I used to live in Great Neck there. May I inquire how old you are, Helen?
I'm 27.
27. Oh, well, young-looking 27.
Thank you.
And where are you from originally, Marty?
Well, originally from West Hoboken, New Jersey, about a half mile from Hoboken Ferry.
Oh, I used to live in Hoboken many years ago. How old are you, Marty?
45.
Really? And Helen's 27. Well, that makes 18 years difference. Huh?
That's right.
How long you two been married?
10 years.
And so you don't look it. Huh? Where exactly did you meet Marty? Do you remember?
Yes, I was in the 10th grade at Polytechnic High School.
You were in the 10th grade together? And he was 18 years older than you? Marty, what were you, the village idiot?
No, I was a teacher.
Oh, I see. And Helen married a teacher, huh? Well, that's a new one, huh? Marty, what kind of a class were you teaching?
I was a class in library science. I was a school librarian.
Oh. Well, I must say, Helen, you had a lot of courage. No, this is no reflection on you, Marty. Most kids, when they go to the library, bring home a book. And... Helen varied this. She brought home the librarian. Well, tell us something about library work. How do you become a librarian? Do you have to start out as a bookie?
Well, Groucho, I didn't start out as a bookie. I started out as a shelf reader.
Well, were you Morocco-bound at the time, or were you still in Hoboken?
No. I started out as a shelf reader. And
shelf reader?
Yes.
You read shelves?
I read shelves. Straightened the books on the shelves of the Los Angeles Public Library. And then went on to become a page, and then a junior librarian.
You became a page in one of the books? You certainly started at the bottom, didn't you?
Right at the bottom.
What are you doing now, Marty? Have you given up teaching?
No, I'm still the high school librarian at Polytechnic High School in Los Angeles.
Oh. You know, speaking of books, in almost every home there are shelves with books on them, good books. People have read these books, and they never read them again, and they remain on these library shelves. And the camps and hospitals, the service camps and hospitals, could use these books. They need them desperately. And if any of you folks out front have any books like that you're through with and don't intend to read again, instead of just decorating the shelves, why not take them to your nearest USO station and drop them off there? You'll be doing a wonderful thing for the kids. Well, you're a nice couple, and I'm sure you'd like to win a lot of money tonight. Wouldn't you?
Oh, I'd love to.
All right, well, let's play You Bet Your Life. Now, tonight we're going to change our quiz. You know, in past weeks, the contestants have been betting all their money on every question, and too many people have been going broke. George Fenneman, will you come in here? I want you to explain the rules.
You get 4 questions. You pick them yourselves by number from a list that Groucho has in his hand there. Now, each question has a value, ranging from $10 for the first on the list up to $100 for the 10th question. As the value increases, $10 at a time, the questions get tougher. You can pick any 4 of the 10 that you want. If you miss the question, we don't subtract anything, and if you get it right, we add it to your total.
Now, is that clear?
Very clear.
Any question? Remember, the more the question is worth, the tougher it is. Number 1 is easy, number 10 is very hard. So it's up to you. The couple that wins the most money gets the chance at the big question later. Well, let's see how much money you can win. You selected American history, and you ought to be pretty good at this. Now, you can start with a $10 question, 50 or 80 or 100. You can start with any question you want.
We'll try the $50 question.
50. Well, that's a nice compromise. All right. Who was the president of the Confederate States?
Jefferson Davis.
That's right. You have $50.
You're on your way with $50.
Now, you see, the beauty of this quiz is you can't lose this 50. This is inviolate. This is yours.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Now, you have to talk real loud because these people
Right,
want to hear what you're saying.
We'll take the $70 question.
$70.
Yes.
Now, if you win this one, you'll have 120. What was the name of the British general who surrendered at Yorktown?
Cornwallis. What are you talking?
Cornwallis.
Cornwallis is right.
You now have $120.
Isn't this much better than the old way?
So far.
Of course, we're going to break the sponsor, but we don't care about that. Now you have $120. Now, what are you going to bid?
80 or 90.
You had a 70. You want to try an 80?
Let's try
The 80s are very good this year. We just got them in this morning.
90. We'll try the $90.
90. Ethan Allen was a revolutionary hero in command of a famous group of militia. What were they called?
The Minutemen.
No, I'm sorry. It was the Green Mountain Boys.
Well, you still have $120, however, and one more chance, right?
Now you have one more chance.
Well, we should try the $100.
All right.
We'll try the $100 question.
Okay. A famous raid on an arsenal led by John Brown in 1859 was one of the incidents that eventually led to the war between the states. What was the name of this place? Talk it over. You're married.
Yeah.
John
It was a bridge or something.
Oh,
It was a fort. We don't know, Groucho.
Well, you should have known this. It's Harper's Ferry.
I was thinking of a bridge, yeah.
It's named after my brother, Harper's Monks, huh?
And you still wind up with $120.
Well, that's pretty good. Thanks and good luck from the DeSoto Plymouth Deal. Okay, George, who's next?
Well, we invited some sulky drivers to the program tonight, Groucho, and our studio audience selected Mr. Bai Shively to be on the show. And his partner has an interesting hobby. She's Mrs. Frances S. Berra. So, folks, would you come in, please, and meet Groucho Marx.
Welcome to You Bet Your Life. Say the secret word and divide $100. It's a common word, something you find around the house. Mrs. Frances S. Berra and Bai Shively. Mrs. Berra, I'll start with you. Where are you from?
Oh, I'm from Englewood, California.
Oh, is that so? I used to live there. How old would you say you are, approximately, Mrs. Berra?
Oh, well, I'd say I'm about 28.
Uh-huh. Well, how old actually are you? You're married, I presume, from this moniker here. Huh?
Yes, I am.
Uh-huh. And Mr. Shively? Where, Bai Shively, huh?
Yes, sir.
Where are you from, Bai?
Well, I was born in Indiana.
Oh, whereabouts?
A town called Goodland up in the northwestern.
Oh, is that so? I used to live there. Great old town. Your name is Bai Shively?
Yes.
What does a Bai stand for?
Well, I hate to mention that. That stands for Bion.
For what?
Bion.
B-I-A-N?
O-N.
B-I-O-N? Is that an old Yankee name or?
Well, I don't know. Some fella named me that they said he had quite a little money, and he tied that name on to me, and I, when he died, he never left me a nickel. I don't like to mention that.
Well, that was a good one on him, wasn't it, huh? How old are you, Bai?
Oh, I'm only 75.
Well, you're only a kid, huh?
Yeah.
Are you married?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. How long have you been married, huh?
Oh, about 54 years.
Are you happily married, Bai?
Well, yes, most of the time.
You have any children?
One boy.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see. What was it Fenneman called you?
Sulky driver.
You're a sulky driver? You mean you drive a horse and carriage?
Drive trotters and pacers to a sulky.
Hmm. I don't like to say this, but aren't you a little old for horse racing?
You can drive as long as you can sit on a bike and hold a pair of lines, I guess.
What big races have you won, Mr. Shively?
Well, I'm on this Golden West trot out here to Santa Anita. I won the Kentucky Futurity and the Hamiltonian.
Well, that's a real big one, the Hamiltonian, isn't it?
Well, it's about 10,000 more than the Kentucky Futurity.
Well, you're a pretty modest fellow, aren't you, the way you reel these victories off here, as though they were nothing.
Well,
You don't like to talk much, but you don't blow your own horn very much.
Well, I never noticed it.
You say you're married, Mrs. Berra?
Yes, I am.
How did you meet your husband?
Well,
I presume you still have him.
I was looking for a job one day, and he had a flying school.
A what?
A flying school.
A flying school?
Mm-hmm.
That's a great idea. The best we could do when I was a kid was to tip the school over on its side. Never could get it to fly. What were you doing at this place?
Well, I was asking him for a job.
Oh?
And I worked for him for about a year, and then we were married.
Well, what did you do? You say you worked for him?
I was a flight instructor.
Oh. How long did you do this?
Oh, I've been flying for about 12 years.
You've been flying for 12 years? That's a long time. Well, how'd you manage it? Did they refuel you in midair? Apparently you've done a lot of flying. Have you made any unusual flights, Francis?
Yes, I have flown in the Powder Puff Derby for the last 3 years.
The Powder Puff Derby?
Yes.
Really? That's one place I've never been. Isn't that the ladies' lounge at the Brown Derby?
No, it's the all-women transcontinental air race.
Oh. And you were in it this year?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And where is this, where did you fly from?
Well,
and to?
I flew from Lawrence, Massachusetts to Long Beach, California.
That's a long ride. How'd you make out?
I won.
Really? Hey, we got nothing but champs up here tonight. Congratulations. You must be pretty good with a powder puff, huh?
Well, try.
You must have a pretty fast plane. Is it a jet plane?
Oh, no. It's a very slow plane. In fact, you can come in last and still win.
Only in a woman's race could you make a statement. Well, you're both in a different kind of a race tonight. You're going to play You Bet Your Life for a lot of money. I can't tell you how much you have to win, but George is going to remind our listeners.
In the race for the $1,000, Mr. and Mrs. Backgene won $120, and the secret word is window.
I have 10 questions here. You get any 4 of these questions you want. Only remember, number 10 is for $100, and that's much more difficult than the first question, which is for $10. Is that clear? And any money you win, you keep. Now, you took food and drink as your category. Just talk up.
70.
Whatever you say.
$70.
$70. What is the salted roe of the sturgeon called? If you don't know, take a guess.
Caviar.
Caviar's right, yes.
On your way, you have $70.
Don't do that. When you know the
I won
answer,
the same.
shout it out, huh? Now you have $70, which is yours, and nobody can take that away from you. Except me as soon as the show is over. Huh? Now, which one do you want? You want the 100? You want the 10, 20, 30,
80.
anything? 80. Talk up, kids.
That's all right. You're the
$80.
answer.
$80. All right. What is the sugar substitute made from coal tar called? Talk it over. Your partners.
Oh, I don't have no idea.
Sir?
No, you should know this. Saccharin.
But you still have $70.
All right. Now your third question. Which one do you want?
$60.
60. What is the main ingredient of borscht?
Wine?
Take a guess. No. You can see you're not Russian. It's beets.
You still have $70.
All right. Now here's your fourth one. You can't lose that 70.
Should we try 50?
Anything.
$50.
All right. What are the small cubes of toasted bread served with soup called? Talk it over. Small cubes of toasted bread.
I don't know.
Croutons.
And
Anyway.
you'll wind up with $70.
Well, that's not too bad. Thanks and good luck. Thanks and good luck from the DeSoto Plymouth dealers. Nobody cheats me out of that. I don't want to get fired. Now, before we go on, I have something here I would like to mention. It's about Christmas seals. You know, every one of those Christmas seals you buy and use helps fight the battle of tuberculosis. And TB is our country's #1 infectious killer. So answer that letter you get containing the Christmas seals. Buy them and use them. All right, George, who's next?
Well, now we have a woman with an interesting job and a man who works in a restaurant, Groucho. She's Mrs. Edith Keenest and Mr. Tony Hartenstein. So, folks, would you come in, please, and meet Groucho Marx.
Welcome for the DeSoto Plymouth dealer. Say the secret word and divide $100. It's a common word, something you find around the house. Mrs. Edith Keenest, is that how you pronounce it?
That's right, Edith Keenest.
What kind of a name is that, Keenest?
My husband's from Switzerland. It's a Swiss name.
Oh. Where are you from, Edith?
I'm from New York City, right near Morningside Park.
Oh, is that so? I used to live there.
Is that so?
Tony Hartenstein? What?
Hartenstein.
Stein. What kind of a name is that?
That's a Swiss name. I'm from Switzerland.
Oh, naturally. Who isn't? Everybody around here tonight is from Switzerland. I used to live in Switzerland. Now, Edith, what sort of work does your husband do?
He and I operate a dude ranch, the Double E Ranch in Woodland Hills.
You run a dude ranch? Well, I'm glad to hear that. I take my little daughter to dude ranches quite frequently in the summer now. What is yours like?
Well, ours is a dude ranch for dogs and has nothing to do with people.
What do you mean, a dude ranch for dogs? Are you serious?
I'm perfectly serious. It's the same for dogs as it would be for people, only we only take dogs.
Oh. Well, is your dude ranch full most of the time?
It's full all of the time. In fact, we turn dogs away almost every day.
Well, your place must be a howling success, huh? I happen to have a French poodle. Now, suppose I wanted to leave him at your flea bag when I went out of town. How would I go about it?
Well, the first thing you'd have to do is give me plenty of notice so that I'd be sure to be able to accommodate you.
No, it's for the poodle. I don't know. Now, what else do I have to do to get my dog into your club?
Well, you have to tell me who recommended us to you, because we're very particular about the dogs. They have to be strictly pets, and we have to know who the people are that send them.
Suppose these dogs get lonesome for their owners. What do you do?
Well, most of the owners write their dogs, and then I take the letters into the dogs, and I let them smell it. I even read it to them.
They read these letters in the litters?
No, I read the letters to them, and they smell it, and then they know it's from their owners. And I answer the letters for the dogs.
What are the rates? What are the rates of this joint?
Well, I'd rather not go into the rates, but they're reasonable.
What do you regard as reasonable, Edith?
Well, not expensive.
You give me the old doggy runaround. Well, Tony, not to change the subject, which needs changing about now. What sort of work do you do?
I'm an accordion player at the Switzerland restaurant.
You're an accordion? A squeeze box you play?
That's right, vacuum cleaner.
You're kind of a Swiss Phil Baker, huh?
That's right.
Can you yodel?
Yes, I can.
You can, huh? Well, what is a yodel exactly, Tony?
Well, a yodel is a combination of your chest voice and the falsetto. And, of course, most of all, it's an expression of joy.
Mm-hmm. Could you teach me to yodel?
Well, I think so. Can you sing?
Apparently you haven't heard me. I can whine a bit.
Well, you take, for instance, you say, hololo.
Hololo.
That's right. Now you put some voice in it, and you go, hololo, hololo. That's right. Now this was your chest voice. Now you take the words oo and do, but here you use your falsetto, like this. Hololo, do, hololo, do, hololo, do, hololo, do.
Well, let's have a whole yodel now, huh? Six dogs just broke out of her kennel. Now, can you yodel there? Oh, holy, holy, holy. Now, you yodel that and I'll sing the low part now.
All right. What key, will you?
Well, pick any key. Oh, holy, holy, holy,
Hold-ee-o, dee-o, hold-ee-o, dee-o.
Oh-la-dee-la-la-la-la-la, oh-la-dee-la-la-la-la-la, oh-la-la-la-la-la-la. I can do more things badly than anybody in television. Well, it's been certainly fun talking to you two, but now it's time to play You Bet Your Life for a chance at the big money.
In the race for the $1,000, Mr. and Mrs. Backgene are still leading with $120.
Now, you know we have a new quiz game, or don't you know? You have chosen geography as your category. I've got 10 questions here. You pick any 4 of these you want. They start at $10 and go up to $100. Further up you go, the tougher they get. Now, are there any questions? Is this clear to you?
I believe so.
All right, you can take a $10 question, which is the easiest, $100, $50, anything you want. Talk up.
10.
10?
Mm-hmm.
All right, in what foreign capital do you find the Kremlin?
Moscow.
That's right. You see, you should have taken a $100 question.
Well, you now have $10.
Now you have $10. Now you can take any question you want. 20? All right. In what state do you find Pikes Peak?
Colorado.
Colorado is right.
Now have $30.
Now, which one do you want?
All right.
40.
40. What is the capital city of Chile?
Santiago.
Santiago is right.
You now have $70.
Now you have one more question. You can take any one you want.
Okay.
60.
60. What is the tallest mountain in North America?
North America? Mount McKinley.
Mount McKinley is right.
And you wind up with $130.
Well, thanks.
That means that the lady who runs the Dude Ranch for Dogs and her partner with $130 in just 1 minute get the chance of the DeSoto Plymouth $1,000 question.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Arlene Francis here to tell you about the most wonderful new car I've ever seen, the 1954 DeSoto Automatic. The DeSoto Automatic is the one car planned and built to do exactly what you want it to do. Do it instantly, do it quietly, and do it safely at all speeds. That's a marvelous thing to know. And what a beautiful car. There are completely new interiors, too. The new instrument panel is in perfect harmony with the rest of the exquisite appointments. A real jewel-like instrument panel, giving you a real feeling of luxury. Take it from me, this 1954 DeSoto Automatic is a really thrilling car. A car you'll want to see right away at your DeSoto Plymouth dealers. Drop in to drive the 1954 DeSoto Automatic and enjoy a DeSoto ride, the ride that puts you ahead automatically.
Here comes our winning couple, Groucho, the man from Switzerland and the lady who runs the Dog Dude Ranch, all set for the $1,000 DeSoto Plymouth question.
No coaching now. One of the colorful figures of California's early days was a writer and poet who immortalized such places as Roaring Camp and Poker Flat. For $1,000, tell me the name of this famous poet. Talk it over. What's the answer you two have decided upon? Take a guess.
Well, we don't know.
Well, it was Bret Harte, a very famous poet and novelist. So that means Bret Harte, B-R-E-T, capital H-A-R-T. So that means the big question next week will be worth $1,500. Well, you lost the big money, but how much did they win the quiz, George?
They won $130
well,
in the quiz.
Not too bad. Thanks and good luck from the more than 3,000 DeSoto Plymouth dealers from coast to coast and to all of our contestants on the show tonight.
Thank you.
Be sure to tune in again next Wednesday night at the same time for the Groucho Marx Show, when the big question will be worth $1,500. And don't miss Groucho's television show, also brought to you by the DeSoto Plymouth Dealers of America. And remember that the dealers who sell the outstanding 1954 DeSoto Automatic with fully automatic power flight transmission also have on display the remarkable new Plymouth, engineered and built to be your best buy in the low-price field. DeSoto, Plymouth, two great new cars, both products of the Chrysler Corporation.
And when you drive in, tell them Groucho sent you. Good night, folks, and remember, just be sure to see the DeSoto Automatic.
Folks, here's a reminder from the National Safety Council. When driving, don't stick your neck out in traffic. You'll Bet Your Life, transcribed from Hollywood, is produced by John Goodell. Directed by Robert Dwan and Bernie Smith. Music by Jerry Fielding. This is George Fenneman signing off for the more than 3,000 DeSoto Plymouth dealers from coast to coast. You'll Bet Your Life is heard by our armed forces throughout the world.
Birmingham, Alabama.
That's right, yes. That's true.
You're on your way. You have $40.
You have $40. Now, how much of this sum will you bet on your second question?
Shall we bet all again? Yeah. I think we ought to.
Okay. York, England is about 200 miles from London. Our city of York is 27 miles from Harrisburg. In what state is York?
Pennsylvania.
That's right.
You now have $80.
Now, have $80. How much are you going to bet?
Okay, we'll bet the works.
Okay. The city of Syracuse in Sicily has declined from former days of glory. This kind of a one-act play here. But our Syracuse is still on the way up with over 200,000 people. In what state is it located?
New York.
New York is right. Oh, another one?
They now have $160.
$160 is your last chance to beat the other couples. How much are you going to bet?
Who cares?
Let's bet all of it again.
All of it. Cambridge is a famous university city in England. In what state is our Cambridge? It has over 100,000 people.
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts is right.
And you wind up with $320.
Thanks and good luck from the DeSoto Plymouth dealers.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's why the great new 1954 DeSoto deserves the name Automatic. Why it's the only car on the American road that fully deserves that name. First of all, whether you're driving along the open road or parking in a tight spot, DeSoto full-time power steering does the work of steering and parking for you. And when you have to stop, DeSoto full power brakes do over half the work of braking for you. Then, too, DeSoto electric windshield wipers maintain constant speed windshield wiping. And if you desire, the 1954 DeSoto will raise and lower your windows, air condition itself, and do a score of other things for you automatically. Ladies and gentlemen, the secret word tonight is water. W-A-T-E-R.
Really?
You bet your life. It's Groucho Marx in You Bet Your Life, the comedy quiz series produced and transcribed from Hollywood and brought to you by the more than 3,000 DeSoto Plymouth dealers. The dealers who now have on display the outstanding 1954 DeSoto Automatic with fully automatic power flight transmission and the all-new 1954 Plymouth, your best buy in the low-priced field. And now, here he is, the one, the only...
Oh, shucks, that's me. Well, here I am again with $1,000 for one of our couples. George, who's first on the veranda?
Mr. Walter...
Is that right, veranda?
I don't believe so, but it's nice.
Well, it can be if you have the right parameters.
Mr. Walter Mahonen and Miss Ruth Caloban. And they're waiting to meet you, Groucho. They have very interesting occupations we'd like to talk to them about. So, folks, if you come in, please, and meet Groucho Marx.
Welcome, folks, for the DeSoto Plymouth dealer. Say the secret word and you'll divide $100. It's a common word, something you see every day. Let's see, Miss Ruth Coleman
That's right.
and Mr. Walter Mahonen. Mahonen, huh? Ruth, you're very attractive.
Well, thank you.
Where are you from originally?
Oh, I'm from Washington, D.C.
Would you mind revealing your approximate age? It isn't necessary, but we're nosy.
I'm
We like
24.
to know. 24? Well, you don't look it.
Well, thanks. Do I look younger or older?
No, you look younger. I thought you were about 23 and a half. Huh? Are you...
Flotsam and Jetsam that could be merchandised.
Well, I picked up some flotsam and jetsam on the beach, too. But... Are you doing any beachcombing these days?
No, I have a respectable job as a welder in a shipyard. But I'm doing some abstract sculpture in steel.
Abstract sculpturing in steel?
Yeah.
What is abstract steel sculpturing?
Well, abstract sculpture, as I understand it, is the addition of formal meaning to a mass that has no formal meaning by the use of human will, and I happen to choose a contemporary medium, which is steel.
Well, you've gone all your life through a kind of a mysterious haze, haven't you, Walter?
Yeah, it's been fun.
Well, I imagine you've had a lot of fun. You seem like the kind of fellow that gets a kind of an inside chuckle out of everything he does.
Indeed, I do.
You and John Gunther. Now, have you sold any of your work?
No, the main problem is getting into the shows. The juries seem to pick on the old and worn and haggard classics.
Why do you go in for these unusual, unlucrative occupations?
Because I like to, and I think every man should do what he likes to do.
Well, I admire you, Walter. You have a fine, homely philosophy. It's that kind of thinking that keeps the country jails full of customers. Well, it's certainly been abstract talking to you, Walter. And that goes for you, too, kid, huh?
Thank you.
I never thought when you first came out here and initially squinted at me that you were going to be quite so obscure. Well, now it's time to play You Bet Your Life. You know, all you have to do is run your 20 bucks and no more than our other couples for a crack at the big question later. You selected cities with the same name. There are a number of important cities with the same name. Some are here in the United States and some abroad. Let's see if you can identify them. Here's your first question. Now, how much will you bet?
Let's bet all of it first.
All of it.
All of it? Birmingham is one of England's largest cities and also is one of our major industrial cities. In what state is our Birmingham?
8:20 on New Year's Eve, or 8 o'clock, and at 8:20 I decided I was going to ask her to marry me, which I did at 12:20 that night, and which she did a week later.
You must have been in pretty good shape if you could still tell time on New Year's Eve, 4 hours after the party started.
Well, it was a strange sort of a party. We went over to listen to symphony records at a sorority sister house of hers. We listened to Walk Through a Paradise Garden by Delius. And
you were listening to Paradise Garden by Delius on New Year's Eve?
That was the name of the symphony. Yeah.
Uh-huh. How long did this piece take, this Delius piece?
They served coffee at intervals. In which
this is a whole evening of Delius?
A whole evening of Delius, punctuated by coffee with sugar and cream and talk, as it were.
Did this girl know much about you, Walter? I mean, prior to this orgy that you threw there on New Year's Eve?
Yes.
I'm surprised the joint wasn't raided.
I was considered
a rough affair. Huh?
I was considered not a very good risk in marriage. I was a sort of a tramp, as it were, a tramp musician, and not very stable in those days.
Uh-huh.
About jobs, I mean.
Did you have a job?
At the time, yes, I was a beachcomber.
Well, you couldn't get a more substantial job than that. Fortune in beachcombing, huh? Old beer bottles, dead seagulls. Are you serious? Was this really your
Yes,
occupation?
I was working for the Headleys, who have a beachcombing place on at White's Point in San Pedro, and I worked for them. And
you combed the beach?
Up and down the beach from White's Point up to Portuguese Bend.
Uh-huh. Well, what kind of junk? What kind of stuff do you pick up?
Any.
Married?
No, I'm not.
You're not married, huh? A girl with a cute squint like you, and you're not married? Have you tried squinting at the boys?
No, but maybe I will.
You can start on me, kid. And I'll squint right back. Who do you work for?
Well, I work for the National Bureau of Standards.
Oh, well, how are your standards?
Well, they're pretty high.
Well, if you ever lower them, will you come back and see me?
Possibly.
What do you do for the Bureau of Standards?
I'm a physicist.
A physicist? Well, prove it. Let's see you fish.
I didn't bring my fizzing apparatus.
Well, specifically, what are you doing for the Bureau of Standards?
Well, our work is pretty highly classified, so I'd rather not talk about it.
Well, the telephone book is classified. Would you... Walter Mulhonen?
Yes.
You're Irish, huh?
No, Finnish.
Well, so am I. The only difference is I hate to admit it. Are you married, Walter?
Yes, I'm married to the most wonderful wife in the world.
Mm-hmm. Well, tell us something about your wife, would you?
She's handy with skillet and casserole, and she has a deft touch with condiments and agglutinating agents in victuals.
Agglutinating agents?
Yeah.
Do they get 10% of your salary? What is a agglutinating agent as opposed to a regular agent?
In soups, that gives the soup thickness, as it were.
Oh, it's a kind of a catalyst?
Something like that. She
you
also
thought I was a jerk, didn't you? When did you meet your wife, Walter?
I met her 7 years ago on New Year's...
Was she agglutinating then?
No. In Seattle, Washington.
You met her in Seattle?
Mm-hmm. On New Year's Eve. Uh-huh. And we were married a week later in Reno, Nevada.
Mm-hmm. Well, could you give us some details of this whirlwind courtship?
Well, I met her at